So I speak. Yeah. Hello, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk About.
Is it that you can't speak out?
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to this week's episode of Let's Talk About. My name is Sedinam Togo Lamadeko. Let's Talk About is a midweek talk show that is streamed by the Trinity United Church Legon on the Trinity Theological Seminary campus. It is a show where we sit on Wednesdays to discuss issues that bother the everyday Christian. As you may have heard or seen, our topic for this week should have been adolescent girls' reproductive health and teenage pregnancy. But we are going to modify it to read as adolescent reproductive health and adolescent and youthful pregnancy. With me, I have Mrs. Felicia Dakwa, a member of the Trinity United Church, a retired nursing and midwifery lecturer at the University of Ghana, and the founder and executive secretary of the Nanaya Tra Trust, a trust that is focused on enhancing quality maternal health. Mama, you're welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We'll dive right into the discussion, but before that, we'd like to remind our viewers that we're live on Facebook and YouTube. We plead that you subscribe to our YouTube channel, click on the bell icon so you can be notified when we are live. You can also leave your comments, your questions, suggestions, objections, or anything you might have in our comment section, in our direct messages, or you can send them to our WhatsApp number 0501 579 996 0501 579 996. We'll dive right into the discussion. Mama, welcome once again.
Thank you.
So to start off, there has been a slight modification in today's topic or theme. Would you like to tell us why?
Yes, the reason is that even though it's the female who carries the pregnancy, it's the male who puts the pregnancy in her womb. Okay. Therefore, it is proper to talk about the two together.
Okay.
This is why we have adapted our topic today.
Thank you. I think we very much agree. Mama, moving on, who would you call an adolescent?
An adolescent is someone between puberty and adulthood. And puberty is the age from 12 years in the female and from 14 years in the male to adulthood, which is 18 years.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Mama. So now when we want to move from the definition of an adolescent to reproductive health, what do we call or how can we describe or define reproductive health wholly?
Reproductive health simply means, according to WHO, health in general means the complete state of well-being, physically, psychologically, mentally, socio-economically, and spiritually, and not merely the absence of disease and infirmity.
Okay, that is such a wholesome definition. I think we appreciate that a lot. Now, Mama, let's talk about some changes adolescents go through, or people in the adolescence stage go through, see, or experience. We'll start with the male and then we'll move to the female.
Yeah. The males go through changes as a result of hormones in the brain that act as a choir master. So the choir master gives his instructions, and either you go up or you go down or you go side to side. And the organ is situated in the brain, in the hypothalamus in the brain, and it influences the organs in the male. We have gonadotropic releasing hormones, and then we have the testosterone. The hormones in the brain will act on the testes to produce the testosterone, and it's the testosterone that brings about the changes, like hair in the armpit and the pubic area and the voice change. And in the females, we have the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, both in the brain, and they act on the ovaries. Do we have an anatomical chart here?
Yes, we
because
do.
I would like to, so that when I'm talking about the ovaries, you know where the ovaries are.
Okay, so we'll show that shortly. In the meantime, we can talk about the changes. Yeah.
Okay. And in the ovaries, then the effect produces two other hormones, estrogen and progesterone.
Okay.
And they act on tissues in the ovaries.
Okay.
And then they act on the lining of the womb.
Okay.
And as I talked about the choir master directing, at one point the estrogen will increase in the plasma of the blood, and then it will mean that the endometrium is the lining of the womb.
The womb, right.
Yes. It will increase in layer.
Okay.
At one point, it will decrease in layer, depending on how much estrogen is in the blood.
Okay.
And that is controlled by the follicle stimulating hormone.
Okay.
And then we have the other hormone, luteinizing hormone, which will act on an area in the ovum. That is where the ovum has been expelled from. It leaves a space, and that space produces progesterone.
Okay.
And that also has effect on the lining of the womb.
The womb, right.
So they go up and down depending on how much is in the plasma of the blood.
So our image is displayed now. Would you like us to move to the male one, or you say some more on it? The female reproductive system.
The female?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we are moving stage by stage.
Okay. That's fine.
And so for the female, these hormones then bring about changes when they get to puberty.
Okay.
And the puberty in females, they get there around the age of 12 years.
12 years.
In the past, it used to be 18 years.
Okay.
But now it's 12 years. And in fact, some of them pass their menses At 11 years.
Okay.
And somebody says even 9 years.
Yeah.
And so it means at that point, if she gets herself into immoral sex act, she can get pregnant.
Yes.
And meanwhile, her body is not strong enough to carry
a baby.
A baby.
Okay.
Yes. And then if at a certain point, the ovum is prepared and has to come out, and that's what we call ovulation.
Okay.
And then when it comes out, if there has been sex activity, there will be sperms in her system. And the sperm will go up. I wish I could show it on the diagram. Would that be okay?
We have that diagram.
There it is.
Okay.
On the board.
I think from the look of things, we would have to have our viewers follow it. Yes.
Okay. So the sperm now will follow up into the tube to go and meet the ovum there. And then fertilization means the ovum and the sperm have
met.
united.
Okay.
And then they will start their reproductive activity. First they are 2, and then they will grow into 4,
Okay.
multiplying as they come along the tube back into the womb.
Okay.
From 4 they go to 8,
Okay.
and then 16, and then 32. By the time they get to 32, they should be inside the womb.
The womb.
And then they implant, that is, settle
Okay.
in the womb.
Okay. Okay, Mama, that's fine. Thank you. So before we move to the next image and continue our discussion, do we know what is accounting for the change, the early puberty, early onset of the menstrual cycle in women and all of that?
Yes, now, it's because our diet has improved from what it used to be.
Okay.
And also we are now exposed to all kinds of electrical gadgets, washing various body activities. And that increases our ability to develop faster.
Okay, that's fine. Mama, can we move now to the male system? Please move to the male system so we can continue the discussion. Fertilization, and the forming of embryos, which eventually develop into babies. We'll now move on to the male reproductive system. The floor is yours.
In the male reproductive system, we have the outer and the inner. And as we can see on the board, the penis, and then the scrotum, and we have the others like the prostate gland in between, and is the scrotum that contains the testes. And the testes are those that produce the sperms. And the sperms, sometimes I really wonder, when they talk about 200 to 600 million sperms in about a teaspoon of semen. Well, that's what happens. Yes. And the testosterone, as I've said already, it has effect on the whole body. And so that's how we get the change of the voice in males when they get to puberty. And their puberty is 14 years. And at age 14, it means a male can impregnate a woman or 10 women a day if he decides to sleep with 10 women a day, and the 10 women happen to be in their fertile period. And I really want males, adolescent males, to really listen to that. So that if pregnancy occurs when he has seen this girl once, he does not decide to disown the pregnancy because he saw the girl only once. But the only once could be the time of the fertile period.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. This is it's very interesting that we're discussing something like this, looking at the temperature in Ghana now. I'm happy that at least we have someone who is this enlightened to, you know, teach us stuff like this. We'll be moving to the diagram where we will discuss the menstrual cycle into details. But Mama, I heard you mentioning semen and sperm. For some of us who may not have any science background, would you like to explain the difference and, you know, how both of them are? What is semen and what is sperm?
The sperm, the full name is spermatozoon. Zoon if it's one.
Okay.
Spermatozoa
Okay.
if there are more.
There are more. Okay.
And the semen is the fluid that is produced from somewhere else, not in the scrotum. It is produced in a vesicle,
Okay.
seminal vesicle along the line going up.
Okay.
And so that helps the sperm to be propelled
Okay.
because it is going up
Okay.
and it has its tail
Okay.
and needs to be propelled along to get into the female
Okay.
and to get into the right side or the left side into the tube and then to the ovary.
Okay.
So I would have liked the two, if they are side by side,
Okay.
please.
I think we can do that. Mama, in the meantime, whilst they are doing that, let's talk about early bloomers and late bloomers. So by that, I mean for women, largely, someone may have her menstrual cycle starting at 18. Someone may have it starting at 14. My personal question is that, do genes play a role in this happening?
Yes.
Okay.
In development of the human being,
Okay.
genes play a role
Okay.
in the diet
Okay.
and then the hormones.
The hormones.
So we talk about every human being has 2 parents
Okay.
and 4 grandparents.
Okay.
So whatever genes he or she has is from the 2 parents, and then father and mother from the mother's side, and father and mother from the father's side. So this is why we say a human being is made up of 2 parents and 4 grandparents.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. Okay, so whilst they are trying to, you know, collate the images so we can have them together, I would like to ask, in the course of your discussion, you mentioned that at a point, a woman's body may not be ready to carry a baby. When we say the body is finally ready to carry the child, what do we mean? What do we have to see to know that, okay, he or she, rather, is, you know, ready to?
Yeah, adolescents is not supposed to have a baby.
Okay.
Babies are supposed to be made from the age of adulthood.
Okay.
That is 18 years.
Okay.
Therefore, the adolescent should not engage in sex activity.
Okay.
And I would like them, all of them who are watching us, to please listen to this properly. The adolescent is not supposed to have sex activity. In the Bible, talks about, and Adam lay with Eve, and Eve became pregnant and brought forth a man-child. At that point, our Father, God Almighty, had prepared his 2 children, Adam and Eve, and brought Eve to Adam.
Right.
And so they were ready then, and he said to them, be fruitful and increase, and take control of the earth, subduing it, etc., etc. Therefore, for the adolescent, they should wait for their parents, father, to take her into the church like we usually have in weddings, for a pastor to say, who is he that has brought this woman to be married. For the father to stand up like God said to Abraham, you know, this is to Adam. This is somebody for him. He said, this is bone of my bone and flesh of my flesh. Therefore, we are pleading with the adolescents to concentrate on their education and from beginning to end skills, profession, to the point that 18 plus, because if even we are talking about 18, by 18, if you really want to prepare your child very well, by 18, she or he wouldn't have finished, say, university education, where she is going to be able to really stand on his feet or her feet, to be able to father a child. Therefore, my plea again to the adolescent is that please do not engage in sex before marriage. We call that premarital sex. Another name for it is fornication or sexual immorality. And another, which is both for the adolescent and the adult, is thou shalt not commit adultery. And as for that, it is even the seventh of the 10 commandments. And that is how very important God really sees it. So again here, we are talking about the adolescent, but because we are talking about reproduction in general, I would also plead with the adults that adultery is something sinful. Therefore, please, they should be faithful to their partners.
Right. Thank you so much for the advice. In a bit, we'll be showing the images side by side, so Mama can speak to both of them. Would like to say that today there will be a slight twist. At certain points, when Mama is ready to, she will interpret what she is saying in Twi or Akan, so that our viewers who may not be so literate in the English language can understand and contribute as well. I'll try to do a bit of Eve. I don't know how well it will go, but we'll see. So we can have the images now so that Mama can do the comparison to give us a clearer picture of what she's talking about.
Is it possible to have a ruler and stand? I'm a teacher. so if I brought something in my bag, I have a pointer in my bag.
Okay. So in the meantime, whilst we're trying to get the pointer, we'll study the images. Now we can start speaking to the images whilst we get the pointer and see how well we can do that.
Well, the top part that we see in the female then is the top part of the vagina, and the womb or uterus is sitting on top of the vagina. And then we have the inside of the uterus or the womb. And we have two tubes, left and right, known as fallopian tubes or uterine tubes. And at the end of the uterine tube, we call that one fingerated. It's like a finger in the hand. And it's holding onto the ovary. And in the ovaries, we have the Graafian follicles. And the Graafian follicles are those that mature once every cycle. Sometimes we have two on both sides. Then when that happens, it means we have twins who are not of the same sex. When one ovum is united with a sperm and they split to become twins, we call them uniovular. They are identical. But the other, they are not identical twins. One may be tall, the other one short. And the union takes place in the wider portion of the fallopian tube or uterine tube.
Okay.
And then they travel down back to the womb.
Okay.
And I mentioned that first is the ovum or egg cell
Yes.
and the sperm.
Okay.
And so there are two.
Okay.
Then they multiply as they move along the tube. So they become 4, and then 8, and then 16, and then 32. By the time they get into the womb,
Okay.
they are about 32.
32.
And then they settle.
Okay.
They should normally settle in the upper portion of the womb.
Okay.
On a few occasions, they settle down, then they create a problem.
Okay.
If they settle down, then they create a problem during childbirth.
Okay. Okay, that's fine. I would like to say that our media team is working really hard to get you a screen and a pointer. So we'll go on.
I have a pointer in my bag,
Yes,
actually.
we'll get the pointer.
Okay.
So for now, we'll have to manage with, doing it from a distance.
Okay.
After a short break, we'll switch screens. Then you can point. Okay. So can we move from the images? Okay. Thank you. So Mama, let's talk about the menstrual cycle. I know it's a broad topic, a whole topic on its own, from the start, how the hormones act to the phases, ovulation, and then the release of the flow. So take us through that if you can.
I mentioned the follicle stimulating hormone,
Yes.
and I said it acts on the ovary,
Okay.
and in the ovary we have the Graafian follicles, and it makes the lining of the womb become soft and thick.
Okay.
Because as far as our Father God is concerned, in every cycle, the womb prepares for a baby.
Okay.
So the first phase, we talked about phases, and it's a series of changes from a bleeding phase, which is usually 5 days, sometimes is 7 days,
Okay.
but they say the average is 5 days.
Okay.
And then after the bleeding phase, we have the regenerative phase of 2 days,
Okay.
so that the bleeding wiped away the lining from the womb. And now the lining has to start a new layer. So the 2 days,
Okay.
in the 2 days, it starts the new layer,
Okay.
proliferative,
Okay.
regenerative phase.
Okay.
Then from there, we go to proliferative phase, which means that the layer is increasing.
Okay.
And that is doing so because of the follicle stimulating hormone and the estrogen in the plasma of the blood. So that was why I said, like a choir master.
Right.
So if you look at the menstrual cycle thing that is on the board now, you can see a green and then a pink.
Okay.
And then the next, from the proliferative, we get to secretive phase.
Okay.
And the secretive phase, then we have progesterone.
Okay.
We talked about estrogen first.
Yes, we mentioned.
Now we have progesterone.
Yes.
And this is because whether the cycle is going to be 16 days, 21 days, 28 days, 30 days, or 42 days, the ovum will really or usually rupture 14 days before the next period.
Okay.
So whether the cycle is as short as 16 days or as long as 42 days, the ovum is going to, or the egg cell is going to be expelled 14 days before the next menses.
Okay.
So the phases, we talked about the bleeding phase, and then we talked about the 2 days of regenerative, and then we talked about 7 days of proliferative, and that brings us to 14.
14 days.
That is if we are talking about the 28-day cyclist.
Okay.
And the 14th day, by that time now, the egg cell will come out
Okay.
of the shell.
Okay.
And that is what we call ovulation.
Okay.
And then when it comes out, the space that is left behind produces progesterone
Okay.
from the action of the luteinizing hormone
Okay.
from the brain.
Okay.
And then the bed is nicely prepared. If fertilization takes place, then the preparation is going to continue.
Okay.
And then we say pregnancy has taken place.
Taken place. Right.
If fertilization doesn't take place, then the nicely prepared bed will start shrinking by the 24th day of the 28-day cycle.
Okay.
And by the 28th, the bleeding will start again.
Okay.
So if we talk about 28-day cycle, it means it starts from day 1, bleeding for 5 to 7 days, 2 days of regenerative, 9 days then of proliferative, and then the ovum will come out.
Okay.
So then we would say ovulation has taken place.
Okay.
But that will be so on the 14th day in a 28-day cyclist. I have mentioned that the cycle can be 16 days, that's short,
Yeah.
or the 28 days average,
Okay.
or as long as 42 days. But whether it is 16 days or 42 days, the ovum will rupture 14 days before the next period.
Okay.
So when it comes out, it survives only for 24 hours, the
Okay.
ovum.
Okay.
But the sperm survives for 72 hours. So then we talk about the fertile period being for the 28-day cyclist, being day 12, day 13, then the 14,
Okay.
and then the 15, 16. So if somebody wants to get pregnant for the married people, then this is the period that they should have sex,
Okay.
the fertile period.
Okay.
Day 12, 13, then 14 days, the ovum will come out, then 15, 16. So that in the 5 days we pray that for the couple, married couple, who require pregnancy will take place
Okay.
by God's grace.
That's right.
If pregnancy doesn't take place, then the nicely prepared bed will start shrinking by day 24th
Okay.
of the cycle.
Okay.
And then by day 28th, the bleeding will start again. And the bleeding is the shedding off of the lining, the bed that was prepared so nicely, that didn't make good use of itself. That is being shed off.
Okay. Okay. That's fine.
So for the 16-day cyclist, they have a very limited period.
Okay.
And if they require pregnancy, then it is very important for every adolescent, every woman, to study the menstrual cycle for a period of 3 months so that she will know her cycle. We talk about, sometimes they say, this month I have had my period twice.
Yes.
If you have a regular menstrual cycle, if you are a 28-day cyclist, if you have your menses on the 1st of January, it will come again on the 28th of January.
Okay.
And then they say, I had 2 menses in 1 month. But that is normal.
Okay.
Because our Father, the Creator, didn't use calendar in his creation.
Okay.
He used days.
Okay.
So we go by days.
Okay. Now, when should you be concerned about your menstrual period? Now you have cleared the air on the double periods in a month, that they are perfectly normal. But we have cases where people's let me say, the flow lasts for 3 days, 2 days. Some people have just 1 day or something. Is there a cause for alarm?
Yeah, that one. I have said that the bleeding phase is 5 days.
Yes.
Sometimes it goes on to 7 days.
Okay.
If one has a 3 days bleeding period, first phase, it means she will require to see a gynecologist.
Okay.
Sometimes we talk about maybe it is anemia.
Okay.
If the blood in the person is not enough, then the father helps us. If you don't have enough, you are not going to expel enough stuff.
Right.
So usually then if one takes a blood tonic, then it helps.
Okay.
But it will be important to see a gynecologist if one has that problem.
That's type of problem.
The first important thing is for every woman to study her cycle.
Right.
So for the next 3 months, your assignment is to study your cycle.
Okay.
So you know that it started on the 1st, it stopped on the 28th, or it stopped on the 30th.
Okay.
Then you note how many days the flow came around. And then the following cycle, I have tried to stop talking about month because I've told you that our father worked with days and not calendar months.
Right.
So we need to study our cycles with that in mind. So it is important when you have had it on the 28th of January again, then you count from 28th from January.
Okay.
So then it will come in February. Yes. So you need to count how many days in February. And then the number of days the bleeding flew.
Okay.
And then from February, you start counting from day 1st.
Okay.
The first day of the bleeding is day 1st.
Okay.
So you count until it finishes. So the next first bleeding, day of the first bleeding, that is the cycle. So you count the number of days from the first day of one cycle bleeding to the next day, the first day of bleeding. That is the cycle. Now, when you have studied that over a period of 3 cycles, you'll be able to know whether your cycle is 28 days, 26 days, 30 days, or 42 days.
Right.
So from that period, then when you are traveling, you know that I'm going to have this, therefore I have to prepare to take.
Adequately.
Yes,
Right.
adequately too. And even when you are going to work or school, you prepare so that you don't go and disgrace yourself, yes, in public.
Okay. Thank you, Mama. And we'll be going for a quick break, but we would like to state that we are live on Facebook and YouTube. Would like your comments and your questions. You can drop them in the comment section, or you can send them to our WhatsApp number, which will be projected to you shortly. When we come back from the break, we have a lot of interesting stuff we are going to discuss. We've been discussing adolescent reproductive health and adolescent pregnancy. When we come back, we are going to have a summary in 3 at a point and 1 in ever. And then we are going to have a screen where Mama can point everything she has discussed or taught us verbally, so we can get a clearer picture. We'd appreciate your questions. We hope you stay with us for the break. We'll be right back.
With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you Let's Talk About. On Let's Talk About, we talk about health, career, dating, marriage, family, divorce, politics, finance, and all the issues of life that the Christian is confronted with on a daily basis. Join us this and every Wednesday on the YouTube and Facebook pages of Trinity United Church Legon, and let's talk about life as Christians. With the growing challenges of life in light of both global and domestic development, the Christian is faced with the difficult task of balancing survival within a secular system and at the same time living a Christian life that pleases their Maker. It is for this reason that we need to have frank conversations on the many issues of life through the Christian lens. So, we bring to you